Nvidia stock just got some bullish news as we did get a new update to a benchmark focused in the AI space. And as you're going to see, Nvidia continues to dominate this space. More importantly, in this benchmark, we also do see a competitor kind of showcase their solution. And to be honest, I'm not too impressed. On today's episode, I also want to take a closer look at my overall thoughts in the market and kind of see where I'm at with the current space right now. So let's take a closer look in today's episode. Now, before we go any further, make sure to hit the thumbs up, the subscribe button, check out the pinned comment for special offers at fool.com/Jose, and more importantly, a coupon code for my earnings ebook on the semiconductor market. All that in the pinned comment. So hopefully you enjoy it.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so first, I just want to share my thoughts on the overall market. Quick 101, my portfolio is pretty much mainly all growth stocks. Nvidia is my biggest position. I do believe at the moment, the market is a bit overextended. While I am not trimming any shares of Nvidia at the moment, I am trimming other positions in the AI space and other positions in growth companies that have seen a nice run up in the past few days. Now, I'm not going to mention those stocks because I don't want to kind of have people just follow me to follow me, right? Because I think that's the wrong answer. I just want to share my overall thoughts and kind of just share my experience. So for me, since I have such a huge growth portfolio, and since it's such dependent, it's pretty much all high volatile, I'll rather lock in some gains and kind of build up that cash for a time where maybe I'll feel more comfortable using it. And at the end of the day, this is personal finance. Everybody has their own risk to reward tolerance. I feel like for me in the short term, there's too much risk for me. So while I'm not selling all of my positions, right? I'm not selling my full positions. I'm just trimming, locking in some gains and building some cash. I want to say my cash position in my overall portfolio is probably still less than 10%. Maybe it's getting closer to like 6-7% at the moment. Again, I'm not here trying to say I'm bearish on the stock market. I'm by no means bearish. I just want to share what I'm doing. And again, I didn't want to share the individual stocks because I don't want people to just follow me, but just want to share my overall mindset. I definitely would like to hear from you right now. What are some of the stocks that maybe, or what are you doing? Are you selling some stocks? Are you buying some stocks? Obviously, I do believe there are some market opportunities already in the semiconductor space. I've talked about a few companies that I'm willing to buy at these levels, and those are still the case. So I'm selling the ones that have gone up a nice amount, building cash position, and continue to dollar cost average in other positions that I believe have maybe better opportunities at the moment. All right, so now outside of that rant, I want to jump into Nvidia. So we can see Nvidia today had a decent day, right? The stock is only down 1%, but we can see in the past 5 days, the stock is pretty much flat. In the past month, the stock is up roughly 6%. Nothing to cry about. Past 6 months, the stock is up over 61%. The first thing I want to talk about is there was a new benchmark that came out today on November 13th that Nvidia announced. So this is, for those that are not familiar, in the AI space, there is this common benchmark, which is called MLPerf benchmark. And this benchmark happens every so often, and it deals with different aspects of the AI space. Sometimes it deals with training, and that's the one that just got updated. Some deal with inference, which we talked about, I believe, in August. And the important thing is benchmarks are important for investors because it kind of showcases who the real players are in this space, right? Every company out there, if you're a chip company, can go out there and say, hey, look, my chip is the best. And they can kind of showcase their own numbers based on their own benchmarks to kind of showcase why they're better than other players. But when you have a common industrial benchmark, you can't really flex the numbers, right? Because the numbers are what the numbers are. And this benchmark is pretty much only dealing with training. So kind of the aspect of training those large language models. Now, what I thought was pretty interesting is if we look at the accelerators, there's only two main players that have submitted their AI accelerators. We do have AMD here, which kind of showcases their consumer GPU, but that's not really meant for training. I think someone just wanted to showcase how AMD solutions can do. But the two main players that are doing training right now are Nvidia and Google. Nvidia showcased their H100, their H200, and they also gave a preview of their B200 system. So this is pretty impressive, right? Because the B200 is expected to start rolling out in the next few months. Now, the second player was Google, and Google released their TPU Trillium and their TPU V5P. For those not familiar, Google designs their own ASIC solution, and it's called the TPU, the Tensor Processing Unit. They are now in their sixth generation called the Trillium. The generation before that was the fifth generation, and the performance one was the V5P. So that's the one that they kind of showcase here. Now, if we look at the benchmark, Nvidia's Blackwell shows impressive results, up to 2 times more performance per GPU on large language model benchmarks compared to the H100. The other thing that was impressive is Nvidia is just showcasing that with software updates, the H100 is actually doing better than when it originally came out. And their biggest kind of cluster out there in this benchmark is one of Nvidia's H100 GPUs. So I thought that was pretty cool. It kind of continues to showcase how Nvidia is pretty much the leader in this space. Now, like I mentioned, Google did kind of showcase their TPU, and I thought it was pretty impressive. A few things that, and just for those that are not familiar, a quick information about this data. You can kind of see where this product is coming. Is it available right now, or is it in preview? Preview are for devices that are going to come out within the next 6 months, I believe. You can see the organization that submitted. You can see the system name. You can see the total accelerator numbers, the accelerator model name. You can also kind of see the CPU that they're using. And obviously, you can see it's pretty tied between Intel and AMD, but both players are in forms of the CPU space here. So first, I want to kind of showcase Google's product and kind of their advancements through generations. So here, if we look at this row right here, we're going to see that the Trillium TPU, which is their 6th generation, and I'm going to compare it to the V5P, which is the version 5 performance. And here, this could be a very good benchmark because both these clusters are 2048 accelerators. Now, the thing that I found pretty interesting was that the improvements between the TPU V5 performance versus the new generation 6th generation is not much. It's probably less than 10% based on this test that we're seeing right now for training. So this is pretty intense because when we see kind of new generation growth, you know that Nvidia is growing by factors, sometimes by 2x, sometimes by a little bit more than that, maybe a little bit less than that. But I don't think I've ever seen Nvidia kind of jump to the next generation and only see about a 10% growth. So this, in my opinion, showcases how Nvidia, when they get to the next generation of GPUs, it's always a huge performance boost, unlike what TPUs that Google are making. Next, I wanted to compare Google's top solution, the Trillium, versus an Nvidia solution. So here we are looking at this row where TPU, they have roughly 3,000 accelerators, and Nvidia has about the same amount of accelerators, except we're using the H100. That's the first the Hopper, right? That's already about a generation behind. We already have the Hopper 200, and we already have the Blackwell coming in the next few months. So this is comparing Google's most advanced TPU at the moment, which hasn't been released, with a product that Nvidia has had in the market for almost 2 years. And even though this is the new solution for Google, Nvidia outperforms it dramatically. So it takes in latency for this training test, it took about 20 minutes for this Google, where it only took Nvidia's 12 minute. We didn't really see any Blackwell chip with these types of cluster size, but I'm pretty sure the Blackwell will blow both out the parks. So again, many people are saying, hey, look, Jose, there's this huge competition with other ASIC players and Google with their TPU, but we can see that the performance is nowhere near what Google's performance is nowhere near Nvidia. So I'm sorry this is a little bit maybe too technical. I'm trying to kind of hopefully break it down a little bit so everybody can understand. But what I'm really showcasing is, hey, look, Google is definitely a good provider in the training space, but even with it, it's nowhere near Nvidia. So this can kind of showcase some bullish trend for how big and how impressive Nvidia's lead is. Because when you're comparing Google's most product that's about to come out compared to Nvidia's old product, Nvidia is still light years ahead. Next, I want to take a closer look at a nice price target analyst for upgrade for Nvidia. New Street adjusts their price target on Nvidia to $167 from $143. So that's all I have in today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I mentioned at the beginning, it was probably a little bit too technical, so it might have been a little bit boring, but I definitely wanted to bring up all the information to investors and wanted to hopefully bring it in a way that everyone can understand. So take care, have a good day, and see you next time.